Hey, what's up everybody? It's Luke and you're watching Luke the Gathering. Thanks for checking out the channel, hanging out with me tonight. Tonight I just got back from Friday Night Magic and it was a blast as usual. I was on vacation for a couple weeks and I had a great time with the family. We were in Southern California. We checked out Super Mario World at Universal Studios. That was a great time. The kid absolutely thought it was amazing, and the adults had a great time too. So tons of fun, but it made me a little nervous because, quite honestly, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon, and so when I grab my iPad or iPhone, I'm not going to Arena as much. I still go, but I've been going to Pokemon, trying to get up to Arceus League in Pokemon, which I was able to do, but that just left much less time for Arena, and so I haven't drafted as much Modern Horizons 3 as I would like to. And obviously that's what we're doing at the store. We're doing Modern Horizons 3 drafts, and this set is complex, and I gotta say, the deck I went with today, I went in knowing, I drafted my lane, I was in Rakdos, which I know is one of the sort of the worst decks of the format because I've looked at the rankings, and black and red, it's just not the best. It's an artifact theme sort of deck, and you know, in the hierarchy of decks, all the online people, they all say it sucks. But it was the lane I got put in, and I drafted Rakdos, black-red, and I went 2-1. So I was actually pretty happy with the result. I was surprised. I did lose to a really fast, sort of insane Eldrazi deck, where they just had like some Eldrazi rare, I forget what it was, but it was an enchantment, and it copied all the Eldrazi stuff, and they kept making extra tokens, and the abilities just kept activating over and over again, and I was just overwhelmed, and I thought, man, I'm going to be 0-3. But thankfully, I won my other two games. The deck performed really well. It actually went really, really fast. It's a fast deck, this Artifacts deck. And when it pops off, it really does. It's hard to come back against this deck when it does the thing it's supposed to do. So I was really happy with the deck. I've been actually drafting Eldrazi when I am on Arena, so getting a Rakdos deck today was a little nerve-wracking, for sure. But I enjoyed it, did well, and I'm going to share with you the deck today, and then we did get a couple of prizes. I'm going to grab them right now. Just 2 packs, because these are expensive. You know, to participate in the draft, it's about $35. And so to get 2 packs back, that's pretty cool, I think. So let's check out the deck. We'll turn the camera around and see the cards. Okay, we're going to start with Gravedigg. I wasn't sure if I should put this card in the deck, but I needed some creatures because I felt like there are cards in this deck that rely on creatures, and creatures are just a good thing to have, obviously, in Limited. This thing lets you get creatures because you can pay 2 to get a 2/2 black zombie creature token, which is not really the best thing ever, but you can also return a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. And so this thing has like 2 uses, 2 modes. I never did the return the target creature from the graveyard thing. I did make the 2/2. It did make a difference in the game that I did use this. So this card, it's not like it's the best card in the world, but it was serviceable. I also drafted Flare of Malice. This is 2 and 2 black. That's pretty expensive. It says you can sacrifice a non-token black creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. So in my head I had it wrong. I thought it was discard a non-token black creature. No, it's sacrifice. You got to sacrifice it off the board. That was the only instance I tried to use this card, and I used it wrong. So it wasn't something I could actually do. This card actually got pretty much 0 play, but it was a removal spell. Meteoric Mace. This is a pretty expensive artifact. It's 4 and 2 red. It does give creatures +4/+0 and trample. Equips for 4, which all of this is horrible, but it does have Cascade, so I think it becomes a 2-for-1. You pay the 6, you get this on the board, which is relevant in my deck, and then you can also get another card on the table too. So I did use this card a couple times. I thought it was decent in the deck, not the best, but not bad. Pyretic Rebirth I thought would be better The only thing is I never really had this card in my hands, or never got a chance to really use it. But you can return an artifact or creature card from the graveyard to your hand, and then this thing does damage equal to the mana value up to one target creature or planeswalker. So it can be like a damaging removal spell with the right card. So not only do you get a card back, but you can damage or destroy one of their cards at instant speed too. So that's pretty sweet. Fetid Gargantua. I took this card because a lot of people have played this against me, and I thought it was really good. I actually never drew this card, and it never hit the table, so I can't really talk too much about it, but it's a 4/4 that can become a 6/6 pretty easily. Dreadmobile is another card I just never drew. It's a 3/3 vehicle that crews for just 1. Fel the Profane. I did actually use this as a removal spell. Paid the 4. Pretty expensive, but when I needed it, I needed it. And it did what it needed to do. And then the other times, I actually did use it as a land. And so when this was in my hand as a land, I actually did use it when I had to. So that was pretty cool to use that double-sided card. Really useful. Wither and Bloom. Target creature gets -3/-3. It's a removal spell. I used it once. It's important because I do need to keep things off the field, especially larger things. Lethal Throwdown. This is probably not the best card ever. Basically, you have to sacrifice a creature and pay 1 to destroy their thing. But if you have a modified creature that you sacrifice, you draw a card. Really not the best removal, but for 1, and it can destroy anything, I put it in the deck. I did use it. It was okay, but nothing to write home about, that's for sure. Galvanic Discharge, much better. This is probably the best removal spell in the format. Does 3 damage for 1. I'm not really an energy deck, so it's not going to do any more than that, but this did come in clutch a few times. This is a card I drew a lot. Molten Gatekeeper. He was on the field a lot. It's cool because it's an artifact. This is an Artifact Matters deck, and so every time another creature enters the battlefield, this deals 1 damage to the opponent. So I feel like artifacts decks do this a lot, where you just kind of do plinky damage to everybody. 1 damage, 1 damage, 1 damage. And that's what this is, something that does. And so it did its job. It would routinely do like 2 to 3 damage per game. Ethereum Termander. I like this card. It's a 1-drop. It's great to sort of attach equipment to, which my artifacts are equipment oftentimes. It's flying, and you can pay a ridiculous 7 mana, but to adapt 4, it turns into a 5/5 flyer. I never made it to that point, but it did equip a number of equipment and was able to strike in the air really nicely. Retrofitted Transmogrant. This is another artifact. It's a cheap one. I like this one. It just, more artifacts in the deck, the better. Another artifact creature, this Goblin. Again, this would get in for a little damage at the beginning. Quite often, I had this in my opening hand, and it was great. Craning Around. This is sort of your signpost signature card for Rakdos. It's a living weapon, so when you play this, you actually get a 0/0 that attaches to it. And that equipped creature gets +X+1, where X is the number of artifacts. I was able to get this to 5/1, 6/1 quite often. And it equips for just 2. So the deal is, this lets you trade up, but you also put on a flyer. And when you put on a flyer, it can really do huge damage to your opponent. So the cool thing is I had 2 of them, which is really scary to see on the battlefield. This is another really great card, Draw's Claw. It gets +1/+1 to something, and then again, when the equipped creature attacks, the opponent loses a life. So it guarantees another life loss for the opponent. You put this on a flyer, it's already losing 1, and then losing another one, and usually there are 1/1 already, so you're losing another one. So a lot of incremental damage in this deck. 2 Draw's Claws, that's cool. Refurbished Familiar was a really nice card for me. It's a 2/1. It's a flyer, so these are great for putting artifacts on. Affinity for artifacts. A lot of times I was playing this for just 1 black mana. And when it hits the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, and that came in really nice. And if they couldn't, you could draw a card, but that never happened for me. And I actually had 3 of them, which was a real boon for me. And then the Scurrilous Sentry. I really like this card. It's Menace. It's not an artifact. It's none of that kind of thing, but it is a conniver. So it gets you through your deck which is really sweet. And every time I've played against this thing, like, it always destroys me, like, on Arena, whenever I've seen it. So I wanted to use it for myself. I had 2 of them, and they worked out really well. This guy really is a menace. He just keeps growing and growing, and he's hard to stop. The one rare that I had was Imscure Iron Eater. I've used this pretty good effect online, but today, not much. It didn't do a whole lot today. When it hit the battlefield, it had to block and had to trade with some big Eldrazi. So unfortunately, this particular card wasn't huge for me. Though it could potentially be really bomby, especially like just dealing direct damage to your opponents and things like that. But yeah, it was just medium for me today. But overall, all these cards, I think the best cards were the Cranial Ram, the Chief Flyer, Draw's Claws. Those were the cards that really did it for me today. And so I was only one of the only people in black-red, I thought. So the lane was open. All right, and for my 2 wins, I got 2 packs. We're going to just open these play boosters and see what we get in them. Hopefully we get some good stuff. Got our art card. Giant Frog. Forest. Oh, we got Null Drifter in the retro foil. That's really cool. It's a really cool card. Archway of Innovation. Rare land. And then a bunch of other, obviously, cards. Nothing really crazy there in the other cards, but cool. Null Drifter retro foil. I like that a lot. Ooh, we got a Cat Warrior here. Ghost Fire Slice. Guide of Souls is the rare. Buried Alive. And the rest. Ooh, Writhing Chrysalis. All-Star card. Draw's Claw. Familiar. So some things that were akin to things in my deck. Anyways, that's the deck I played. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you're having fun with this draft format. I hope to draft it more. Can't wait till next week. Next Friday is going to be another draft. And looking forward to that. So I will see you then.